In this chapter, I'll walk through the process of installing Bower and Gulp for both Apple and Windows. Although I'll be demonstrating everything on a Mac, I'll also give you the Windows instructions at the same time. Open up your terminal application. On Windows, that'll be git bash. In your terminal application, type sudo space npm space install space -g Bower. If you're using Windows, you can omit the sudo part of the command. If you did use sudo, you'll be prompted for your password. Enter the password that you used to log onto your computer. After you enter your password, the Bower installation should start. It may take a few seconds, and then once it completes, we can verify that this installation was successful by typing Bower space --v, which should indicate a version number. That indicates that the installation was successful. Next, we need to install Gulp. In your terminal application, type sudo space npm space install space -g space Gulp. If you're using a Windows computer, you can omit the sudo part of the command. The Gulp installation may take a few seconds, and if you see any warnings, you can very likely just simply ignore them. Once the Gulp installation has completed, we can verify it was successful by using the -v flag again. So in your terminal application, type Gulp space -v. And that should give us a version number which indicates the installation was successful. Setting up our code examples will be simple. Using a terminal application, or git bash on Windows, you'll first move to your desktop directory, and then download the code from GitHub, an online service that hosts Git repositories. This is accomplished by typing git space clone, followed by the repository URL. Next, we'll check out a branch that's been created specifically for this video. If you're not familiar with Git branching, just know that it's a version of the repository that contains the files that we want. Next, we'll use npm install, which downloads other files that our sample web page depends on. After that, the command Bower install will download all of our client-side assets for us. And finally, the command gulp serve will start our local web server. Once we see that our local web server is running, we can type localhost :5000 in any browser in order to see the sample web page. I'll demonstrate these steps right now. Open up your terminal application. If you're using Windows, you'll need to use git bash. In your terminal application, type cd space ~/ and the word desktop with a capital D. Now, I'll note that in most cases, your terminal prompt will probably look different than mine. I've customized my terminal prompt for simplicity. You can ignore the difference between our prompts, and we can just focus on the commands that we execute. Next, we need to clone the project repository. In your terminal application, type git space clone space and the URL of the project repository. When you do that, it will create a new folder on your desktop that contains the project repository. Next, we need to move into that folder. Now, depending on your operating system, you can very likely use a little shortcut that will save some time. Normally, you would type cd space and the path to that folder, which will differ on your computer than it will on mine. You should be able to do this by simply typing cd space and then dragging that folder from your desktop to your terminal application, which moves us into that folder. Next, we need to check out the branch that contains the code samples that we want. So in your terminal application, type git space checkout space part-1-start. That moved to the branch that we want. Next, we'll need to do an Mpn installation. In your terminal application, type npm space install. If you receive an error after typing this command, this means that you have not installed Node yet, and as I mentioned earlier, that is a requirement. If you need to install Node, simply go to nodejs.org. You may see a few warnings during the npm installation. You can very likely ignore those warnings. Next, we need to install the Bower components. In your terminal application, type Bower space install. After the Bower installation is complete, we need to start our local web server. In your terminal application, type gulp space serve. Once we see that our local web server is running, we can take a look at the example web page in our browser. Open up your browser and in the address bar type localhost:5000. Then you'll see the example web page that we'll be using to demonstrate the code examples for the rest of this course. Now that you have everything you need, let's begin coding. In the next chapter, you'll begin with a review of how to effectively use the JavaScript console. See you soon.